Hey, welcome to my vlog and review for round 12 of the 2017 MotoGP season, the Silverstone circuit in glorious Great Britain. And probably the most surprising thing that happened in Silverstone was that after an entire season of what seems like cloudy, rainy, miserable race weekends, we get to Great Britain and it's dry and sunny. I'm not sure what to make of that, but I do know that it made for a great race weekend, so grab yourself a cup of tea and a nice dry biscuit, and let's head to the racetrack. And before the race even got started, Tech 3 Yamaha's Jonas Folger had a fast and furious crash down the Hangar Straight in the morning warm-up. Understandably, the German was a little shaken up by the whole thing and ended up missing the race only a few hours later. Luckily, it sounds like Folger's okay, and it was simply a precautionary measure, and it sounds like he's going to be back up to speed by the time we get to Misano. And Folger wasn't the only one to end up with a sock full of sand at Silverstone. Championship leader Marc Marquez had this vicious high side on his first flying lap of free practice too. Fortunately, Marquez was okay, saying after the incident that it was entirely his fault and that he was lulled into a false sense of security by the warm, sunny British weather. And you can't really blame him, as I think the weather caught everybody a little off guard. But the Repsol rider's problems didn't end there, as he ended up blowing up his engine only 7 laps from the finish as he was caught up in a podium battle with the other championship hopefuls. Unfortunately for Marquez, this means he walks away from Silverstone with 0 points in his pocket, and by the end of the race, he'd lost the championship lead. Getting back to the top 6, in P1, Andre Dovizioso. That's 2 for 2 and 4 out of the last 6 for the Italian rider on the Italian motorcycle. And unlike Marquez, Dovizioso had lady luck riding shotgun as he was able to get by his good friend Rossi on the last few laps and managed to stay ahead of VInales after he went wide at turn 16 on the very last lap of the race. This is yet another fabulous race performance by the always consistent Italian rider, and you have to imagine that his self-confidence and his self-belief that he can win this championship on that Ducati now has to be sky high. And with this first place finish and Marquez's unfortunate technical difficulties, Dovizioso takes a 9-point lead and demotes Marquez back down to second place in the championship. P2, Maverick Viñales. Viñales was only one of a handful of riders and the only one in the top 10 on the grid to go out there on that soft option rear tire, and you had to wonder whether it was going to be an Achilles heel for him given Yamaha's recent durability problems in the second half of the race. But Viñales was able to make that soft tire sing all race long as he was able to get by his teammate Rossi on the harder option rear tire and almost caught Dovizioso for the win at the end of the race. And all that was easier said than done, considering that Viñales was mixing it up pretty hard with Dovizioso in the middle part of this race. But at the end of the day, the factory Yamaha freshman puts on a solid race performance and gets a well-earned second place finish. He may still be third in the championship, but he's now only 13 points behind Dovizioso in the lead and just 4 points back from Marquez, who had technical difficulties. P3, Valentino Rossi. Rossi made MotoGP history in Silverstone, becoming the first rider to ever make 300 race starts. And if that milestone wasn't good enough, the iconic Italian gets the whole shot and led for almost the entire race. And you get the impression at this race here in Silverstone that number 46 is doing everything he can to adapt himself to the issues with the 2017 factory Yamaha. Historically, Rossi's been a comeback kid, largely due to the fact that he was never a strong qualifier and usually ended up fighting his way back to the front of the grid in the second half of the race. But with the recent longevity problems that the Yamaha's been facing, it looks like Rossi tried to take a page out of Jorge Lorenzo's book, getting the whole shot, building up a gap in the first few laps, and then managing that gap until the finish line. And to be fair, Rossi almost pulled it off. Let's hope that Yamaha gets busy behind the scenes, fixing those tire life problems so that Rossi can get busy winning races his way, the way that's won him 9 world championships. But at the end of the day, Rossi pockets another podium, and he's now just 26 points behind Dovizioso in the lead, and just 13 points back from his teammate Viñales in third. P4 Cal Crutchlow. Last year at Silverstone, Crutchlow got a second place finish, and you can bet with his fast pace all weekend long, Cal had his eye on the prize and was shooting for the top step of the podium in front of his home crowd. Unfortunately, number 35 spent the whole race just behind the podium battle, but wasn't quite strong enough to get in there and mix it up with the race leaders. Either way, with Folger out of commission for the race day event, Crutchlow jumps up to second in the independent championship, now just 20 points behind Zarco in the lead. P5, Jorge Lorenzo. Lorenzo reels in another solid top 6 finish, showing once again that those newly designed aerodynamic fairings by Ducati are helping him get closer and closer to the podium positions. Jorge also seemed to come on strong at the end of the race, finishing just 3.5 seconds behind Dovizioso in the lead, and you get the impression that if there were a few more laps, he may have been able to get in there and mix it up with the podium contenders. P6, Johann Zarco. This is Zarco's second top 6 finish in as many races, showing that the phenomenal Frenchman still has a lot of fight left in him. Zarco spent the first half of this race hunting down Dani Pedrosa from a long way back, but once he got by number 26, he couldn't quite make the pass on Lorenzo's stick. Either way, Zarco still leads the independent championship, but with his teammate Folger out for the race, he now has Cal Crutchlow right behind him. So that wraps up my vlog and review for round 12 of the 2017 MotoGP season. We've now had 4 different riders on 4 different bikes win at Silverstone over the last 4 years, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Don't forget, the next race is September 10th in Misano in Italy. I'm just trying to figure out whether the Italian racing fans will be rooting for their hometown hero Rossi to take a much-needed win, or whether they'd rather see Dovizioso take a Ducati hat-trick on home soil. Either way, it's going to be another exciting race weekend. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and let's look forward to more MotoGP.